Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Andrew Yang. We are going to talk about Rise of Skywalker, and we're going to talk about the para-less generation. All right, specifically millennials, and one specific aspect that exists within that generation, and in my opinion is going to massively increase going forward, and that is very perfectly highlighted by Rise of Skywalker. All right, so let's jump right into this. I want to talk about this today because before I go any further, spoiler warning. There are spoilers for Rise of Skywalker in this content. All right, so I really think this new Rise of Skywalker is incredibly important. This is a global event. So basically, Star Wars is massively important across the globe. It's important across generations. It's important across decades. It's an element of Americana that just really can't be understated as far as its significance politically, culturally, and societally. And I think Andrew Yang needs to be hyper focused on what's happening with Rise of Skywalker. And honestly, I think he should go see the film, and I think he should comment on it. I actually think there's a whole lot of policy changes that he could make based on what's in Rise of Skywalker and what Rise of Skywalker says about our current society and where we're heading. Because Hollywood, it's really interesting. Hollywood has the ability to deliver messages very, very powerfully, persuasively, persistently, and it's very much doing that. And there are huge messages in Rise of Skywalker. And the first one is this identification of the para-less generation. So let's define that. Okay, so I am defining the millennials as the para-less generation. All right, now let me spell that because my videos, of course, are verbal and visual. They're not actually written. Para, P-A-R-A dash less, L-E-S-S, not powerless, para-less, right? Now, I think that what we're seeing with the millennials is the rise of the para-less generation. My generation, Generation X, the boomers, and the silents, I think we were all para-more generations. And what I mean by that was we started with paramours. Pretty much all those generations really, paramour was a thing. And when a person would choose a paramour, that would often grow into choosing that person as a spouse, and then those two spouses moving forward and having children, right? That is very incredibly swiftly ending. And we are seeing the rise of the para-less generation. And the rise of Skywalker, it's a really good question. Is it a reflection of what's happening currently right now? Or is it a projection of what Hollywood thinks should happen? And it is reinforcing a theme that Hollywood has been pushing for a while now. I'm not positive which, but I think this is incredibly, incredibly important, and we really need to unpack this. All right, so the idea of the para-less generation, the millennials as the first real para-less generation, a generation that will increasingly reject paramours and say, is very much becoming a thing. Now, so Hollywood has been putting forward a massive idea for at least 10 or 15 years now, and it is absolutely rock solid represented within Rise of Skywalker, which is being seen across the globe, seen by hundreds of millions of people, right? And it's truly incredible. Like, the reach of this is going to be staggering, right? And I think the power of this is going to stay for a long time. So what is this message from Hollywood that is very, very, that has been in many, many films and series, and I'll actually list them out a little later, and that is very much in the Rise of Skywalker? Well, it's this idea that independent, strong people do not engage in romance. If they do, it ends in sorrow or death quickly, significantly. Quickly and or significantly. All right, so basically, this is a projection to American millennials from Hollywood saying love, family, children are not for American millennials. You should be, and that American millennials should be opting to be alone, should be opting for being alone and for being the end of their line, right? So the last of their surname, right? Or their family name would be a better way to say that. The ramifications of this are absolutely massive, right? And Rise of Skywalker massively reinforces to American millennials, independent, strong people do not engage in romance. If they do, it ends in sorrow or death quickly, significantly, right? So let's look at this. We're going to go through every single major character, all the protagonists, all the protagonists. We're going to go through every major protagonist that was in Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, and we're going to see how their stories ended in Rise of Skywalker from the perspective of romance, of love, of family, right? Of children. So let's take a look, right? Finn is this super awesome adventurer. He's really capable and smart. He's brave. He's very generous with his heart and his mind, right? No love for him. None. Like, so the film is saying, hey, Finn, he really loved Rey. Rey couldn't even see him. Could not even recognize him as a potential romantic partner, right? Huge message to millennials, right? Poe, Poe is amazing, right? Poe, incredibly skilled pilot, incredibly brave, progresses from individual contributor, single X-Wing pilot, to general, leader of the resistance, right? Can he get a date? No, not at all. In this film, he's around a woman by the name of Zori, and Zori knows him, has history with him. They both do the same thing as far as like piloting and adventuring and fighting, right? And Zori's like, nope, not interested in you in any way, right? Even then says to Poe, listen, I would like to travel with you. I really want, and I'm willing to give you everything you need to help your resistance, to make sure that the resistance succeeds. I'm willing to take risks for you. I just have absolutely no romantic interest in you. And it's shown that Poe, again, a person who within a short span has all the skills, charisma, winsomeness to progress from X-Wing pilot to general, has zero ability to attract or land a date, right? What is this saying to millennials, right? They're looking at the screen and going, holy cows, this person is doing things I could only dream of, and they cannot find a single person who's willing to overcome the obstacles or deal with the problems of loving them. So this film is saying Finn and Poe are unable to attract even a single person to love them. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. In a romantic way, right? Yeah. This movie has a lot to say about friendship and close friendship. We're not talking about that here. We're not talking about familial love. We're talking about romantic love, right? So, and they're saying these people are not able to attract any type of romantic partners. It's an incredible statement. Absolutely incredible statement, right? Rose Tico, fantastic character, right? I really, really liked her in Last Jedi. She was one of my favorite characters. I really thought she was fantastic in Rise of Skywalker. By the way, Rise of Skywalker, absolutely love this film. 5 out of 5 stars. It's absolutely fantastic. I highly suggest you go see it, right? I have no complaints of the film. I really, really liked it. I absolutely loved it. I could just go on and on and on about how much I love that film. Rose Tico's in here. Rose is tremendous in this film, right? Rose Tico, skilled mechanic, very loyal, really just a really wonderful, gracious, kind person, right? Finn, she is invisible to Finn. Finn cannot see her. No interest, right? Just looked over, sees Rey. Finn completely ignores the fact that Rose Tico's here. No resolution of that, and Rose, same thing. No romance. You're unworthy of it, right? That's in the Star Wars universe. Rose, Finn, Poe, not a single one of them can attract any romantic partner at all. Incredible. It's an incredible statement, right? And it's being said to the entire generation. It is incredible, right? let's talk about Rey and Kylo, okay? Rey spends all 3 movies. There's no, and there's kind of some, there's circling flirtation between Kylo and Rey, right? So at the very end of the film, in Rise of Skywalker, Rey finally comes around and says, "Oh, hey, I see you, Kylo Ren, and you know what? I'm interested in you romantically." She kisses him. I'm not exaggerating. Kylo dies 5 seconds later, right? Reinforcing, remember what I was telling you. What's the message? What's the Hollywood message here? Independent, strong people do not engage in romance. If they do, it ends in sorrow or death, quickly and or significantly. Rey is the only person who took one action, one romantic action in the film. The person she kissed literally died 5 seconds after she kissed them. 5 seconds. It was incredible, right? This is not a whisper, right, from the Star Wars films. They are screaming this from the rooftops. They're like, millennials, not a one of you has a hope in heck of ever being romantically engaged, or not engagement. Engaged is the wrong word. Being romantically linked with anyone, and the reason, and so they're saying that, right? Now, why is that? I get why that is. They can't really say this in the Star Wars movie, but I'll explain it to you now. So 10, 20, 30 years ago, there was this incredibly naive, very limited view of love, right? Where gender and preference were linked, and a lot of people thought that was the case. We either didn't know any better or we didn't want to know any better. And, we have a much broader understanding of the linkage between those two things, and we know that they're free rotating axes now, right? So love today is massively more complex, right? So today, for millennials, love, when they decide, hey, I want to be romantically involved, gender is in the mix, preference is in the mix, they are not in any way linked. Plurality is in the mix, and catalyst is in the mix. There are 4 free rotating axes, right? When, 20, 30 years ago, there was one pivoting axis, click, click, and it was just massively simpler. It was wrong, but people understood understood it, correct? Now, the new generation fully understands the complexity, and they're saying, oh my gosh, people were screwing it up when there was, in huge, dramatic numbers, when there was just an on-off switch. Now, with 4 free rotating accesses, the odds of any of us getting it right are slim to none. And Hollywood's going, yep, that's exactly right. You people don't have a chance at ever being romantically successfully involved. It's done for you, right? Now, this is pretty incredible, right? So, and so really and this has huge ramifications. And you see this in the movie. Like, this is shown in Rise of Skywalker. In Rise of Skywalker, you do not see the question of family. You do not see a single functional family. Not one, right? There are, and so when you don't have any functional families, you don't have any children, and every hero forgoes children. It's just lockstep. It's just no paramour, no family, no children. None. It's done, right? And the few people in the film who have children, they failed them so dramatically that it's horrible, right? So the reality is, Rise of Skywalker is just shouting from the rooftops to every millennial. Romance is absolute. It's just hammering home this message. Independent, strong people do not engage in romance today. If they do, it ends in sorrow or death, quickly or significantly. Now, again, I want to talk about that. Where is this coming from? So, is this the reflection of choice, or is this the reflection of the choice that millennials are making, or is this a choice that is being presented to millennials through Hollywood's message? I'm not sure. I really don't know, right? I do know that this idea of a powerless generation, the result of what would happen if millennials fully buy into and they are definitely buying into it at larger and larger numbers every day, right? Now, there's still some who are trying, right? But very, very few and fewer every single day. And I think this rise of Skywalker is really going to push this message home, right? And help millennials to understand that they are the first generation in history where paramours just really aren't an option, right? And they really need to reshape their entire lives around this, right? And so this idea, so why would Hollywood would promote this, right? Well, there is one logical reason, right? A powerless generation, a generation that doesn't take on any paramours, doesn't go into any families, and they don't have any children, right? That massively helps with climate change, right? Hollywood is incredibly linked to climate activism, right? So that one does lead into the other. I'm not positive that's the reason that Hollywood is doing this, but it is a logical outcome of why they might actually go down this road, right? I really, I would love to hear your thoughts on that specific. Why do you think Hollywood is projecting this to millennials? It's truly an incredible statement. It's fascinating. All right, now how does Andrew Yang react to all this? Well, one thing, I think he should be very, very careful to pay incredibly close attention to Rise of Skywalker. It is saying a lot about our politics, our culture, and our society. The ramifications of this are absolutely massive. Okay, just think of a generation that is coming up, and love is removed. Love is an aspect that is really, love from a romantic perspective is being taken off the board for them, right? People keep talking about, they keep talking about climate change in the debates, and we all understand that climate change is happening, and yet every single, the media and all the candidates are saying, why aren't people concerned, right? And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think one of the biggest ones is people think that climate change is going to be solved through technology. I believe that. And I think it's one of the biggest reasons why people don't worry, is because we've solved so many problems through technology. But this seems like a bigger, more dramatic problem than climate change to me, because climate change, I think, very realistically can be fixed through technology. I mean, in fact, every single candidate is saying we can do things through technology to reduce our impact on the planet, right? But this one here, the idea that there's going to be an entire generation where romance is really not part of their lives and increasingly is taken off the board for them. We have an entire generation being encouraged to live alone, die alone, and be the end of their family name. That, I don't think we're unpacking that. Nobody's talking about this. And I think we should be talking about this. This is a huge thing. And so, one, I would really like Andrew Yang to be thinking very closely about this, and I would love to see him bring his genius brain and his really wonderful human heart to this. I think this is a problem. I really do. I think this is a massive problem. And at minimum, we have to understand what's happening for this generation. It's truly unique. The other thing is, this is strange. I truly believe that we need to be calling on the young less to vote. And the reason why is it's us, right, saying to the young, it's your responsibility to elect the right leader, right? And the reality is, I look at it and I'm like, you know what? We're asking enough of them. We've stolen their earth. We've stolen much of their future. And to say, hey, you need to come in and fix the problems we've created. The millennials didn't vote the person who's in right now in. We did. Right? And so all these people are going to the young and saying, hey, you need to fix this and you need to rally. I think it's wrong. It's selfish. We ask so much of them and give so little. It's incredible. And I think Yang needs to be very careful about who he's asking for him to vote for him. We've already loaded them down with responsibilities. If I'm hoping that the young will come and vote for Andrew Yang, but I'm hesitant to ask them for anything because we've stolen so much from them. I think the other thing is, I really think Andrew Yang should be encouraging Americans to empathize with millennials' incredibly unique position. Looking back now and seeing that, Gen Xers and Boomers were complaining about avocado toast when we have stolen literally the love out of the lives of these young people is shocking. The level of selfishness that we have visited upon this generation is horrible and haunting. And I really think Andrew Yang should start to really point out to the world that the millennials are the first generation to be encouraged in mass to live alone, die alone, and never replace themselves. That has never been asked of from any generation before, the way it's being asked of right in Rise of Skywalker. Listen to this. Finn, awesome, super awesome adventurer, brave, wonderful person. No one for you. Poe, X-Wing pilot to general. Funny, intelligent, brave. No one for you. Rose, right? The biggest heart ever. Like a wonderful, intelligent mechanic. Loyal, right? No one for you. There's no one in this Star Wars world who would love any of these people. Rey took one romantic task, completed one romantic task, and the person she completed on immediately died. That is an incredible message, And I really think Andrew Yang needs to listen to what Hollywood is saying to millennials, understand it, acknowledge it, and think on it. And I really think before he does anything, there needs to be a lot of thought about this, and there needs to be conversation. We can't move right into a fix yet because this is massive. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion on the topic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.